We'll be seeing you here in the Blazing World. How was Alice originally described to you?
Well, I had the opportunity to read the entire script. So it was kind of rushed because the producer and Carlson were trying to catch the window in this pandemic when we were in shutdown to just catch the wave of being able to go back to work, however long we all knew was going to be. We didn't know if it was like 1 month from there, it would just, everything would shut down again. So yeah, basically Carlson sent me this beautiful video saying that she really couldn't imagine anyone else in it. I saved it forever. I just was so
Sure.
I couldn't believe she, anyway, she just poured her heart out to me. Again, I don't know if you know this, but she was in 12 Mighty Orphans. And I just, after reading it, I went, wait, the girl that played the Annie orphan in this, Orphan Annie, literally, in 12 Mighty Orphans is the same person who can like conjured up this world. Like, what is going on? So
it's dark.
and I just loved it. I loved the disparity of what projects as a person and then what's really going on in her mind. It was amazing. So yeah, I got to read the entire story and the entire, script. And they said, please read it right away. We need to know. We know if you won't feel comfortable, perhaps by, flying, when nobody even was flying back then, like flying across,
Yeah.
flying to Texas to do this. Would you do it? It's okay if you don't feel comfortable. By that time, everyone's like, can I get a private jet? It was just crazy. We didn't know what was going on, so that was all that was presented to me. Do you feel safe doing this during a pandemic where things could change in a heartbeat? Everyone's on lockdown, he said. The whole crew's been there for a few weeks, and surprisingly, they had no cases. It was unbelievable. And so I just read the script and just was blown away by how she articulated every character. So I just knew she was, somebody I could trust.
Was there something you found particularly challenging then about your portrayal of Alice?
The only thing that was challenging was that I knew it was based on her life story. So I was just freaking out thinking, oh my God, what if I ever meet your mom? Like, I don't want to, I don't know if I'd be ready for this, anyway, it's loosely based on her mom, but,
and some nightmares.
Yeah. I was just thinking, can I go, to the wall with this character, knowing that maybe one day I'd meet her mom? And I did meet her mom, and she loved the movie, but it was, that's challenging, exploiting your parents for the sake of art, right? So I think that was one of the hardest parts. Otherwise, I really just dove in. It was 10 days, I think, was the hardest part of it, because it was only 10 days of shooting. And you basically just were in and out. And it was interesting because Carlson rotated between me and Udo and Dermot. And so it was Dermot first, then me, and then Udo was the last person that she was doing her scenes with. So all of us had our time with her, and it was very, compacted time, but became very intimate very easily. I think the hardest part was probably just the beginning of the character, like really establishing what she was going through and her literally dissociative disorder of literally being in her own world, of a fantasy world, and having that tie through all the way to the end. But just every day when I got on set, I felt like I was put right there where I needed to be, whether it was like the setup of the shot or the set. It just was like, okay, I get it, through osmosis. So I wouldn't say it's an easy character to play, but because everyone did their job so wonderfully and Carlson knew what she wanted, I could just step into it a lot easier, and it just started to come out as it should.
That's a great segue to my next question. You had only worked with Carlson as a fellow co-star. What's she like as a director?
Oh my God, she is so great. She, again, I think a great director is someone who has a certain specificity of what they want. But what's so great about her is she's so kind and exclamatory about the work. Like, she'll give direction. And then when she likes what she sees, she goes, "Oh, that was so great." And you're thinking, "Oh my God, I never get that as an actor." Everyone's so subdued normally, but she's just very much like, she's so effusive, she just is herself. And again, how she directs, she's like, because she's had dance training in her background. So I feel like she's just this like little ballerina on set with this dark world inside her brain. But she's extremely passionate and effusive with her direction. And I found it really, really amazing how she could just transition from the character and directing. I've never worked with an actor director per se. Yes, I have once, but there was two directors directing, but her by herself directing was pretty extraordinary for me, being the character and then going, "Okay, so what I think you should do." And it's just like, how do you see that while you're acting? She didn't even barely look back at the monitor, So I think it's an ability to, again, have her specificity, being able to multitask literally, and a kindness to her direction where she just is, again, really believing in the actors and what they can do. And then just, all us actors need sometimes some like little support and saying, "Yeah, you did a good job," and
Right.
beyond. So you just want to do even more. Yeah.
This was such an intense role for you, as we've touched on. How did you shake off the character after a long day of filming?
I think for me, I've played even darker characters. So I played like a serial killer even, and that was hard to shake off.
I'm
I
sure.
think because she is, again, Alice is so childlike. She really doesn't understand the effects of her passion is basically like codependency and all those things that we talk about these days of what she actually has. And, a longing and a suffering that just comes through. And I just felt empathy for her. So for me, it was a lot easier to come off of that every day because, I'm a mom now. I have a toddler. I have a 3.5-year-old. And basically, I have to every day just erase whatever day happened because I'm like dealing with someone who has big emotions. So for me, it was like, embodying a child. And that was, it was okay to let it go every night, just like I would having, my son do a meltdown or tantrum. It's kind of like, it was filled with empathy. So it was easy to let her go at night.
What do you think it is then about the Blazing World that's going to make it such a fast, intense fantasy film for people to be enjoying?
I think we've seen fantasy. I think we've seen other worlds, but I don't think we've seen a person really transforming their sufferings within those worlds. One of my favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz. And again, what she realizes at the end is like, there's no place like home. Like she shouldn't be escaping the world that she's really is her home to another world. And so that can be a lesson, a moral lesson in that respect. But I feel that she, is really going through like a metamorphosis in a way, transforming her life, because it starts out in a pretty desperate situation. And you can see where it comes from once you meet the parents. And that she really, by the end, there's something that does metamorphosize. And I feel like she's, that's what's unique and different is sometimes you're brought into another world and you're kind of just left there hanging. But this one, you're brought into a world and it comes full circle. It's back to her real life, not too dissimilar from Wizard of Oz, where, she wakes up at the end and says, there's no place like home. I think I don't want to spoil it, but what she realizes in the end is, something similar in that respect, that she brings back to herself and her family.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I'm so excited for the new Hocus Pocus film to come out. What does it mean to you that we're revisiting this film so many years later?
Oh my gosh. I can't say how excited I am every year that people, revisit it and watch it with their families and, basically have memories of, bringing out the popcorn and watching it every year. It's become this snowball effect of, of generations of people watching this movie, and they watch it with their kids. And so it's like family time, which just melts my heart. When do people want to watch things together anymore? I did that with my family, but it's hard. Everyone's so busy and on their phones or whatever. But so that, like, people, if they finally want to, if they, actually literally want to sit down together and watch a movie like Hocus Pocus, which is such a fond memory in my heart, having filmed it, and that it continues to affect people for generations. Like, what better like mission did I have as an actor to do that movie, And I feel like it's weird that there's a Hocus Pocus 2 and it feels like we're revisiting it, but every year it's revisited, and it's become that staple movie that people watch on Halloween. That's honestly, for me, like I say, if I didn't, wasn't in Hocus Pocus, I'd be a fan of Hocus Pocus, because it's just the right amount of scary, like Wizard of Oz, where, it doesn't freak you out. And, I don't like blood and gore, and I'm a wimp. So it definitely warms my heart that people enjoy this movie for all generations, and it keeps going.